exploring tech, consciousness, AI, and the future of humanity. Thoughts from two curious minds.
They can transfer thoughts from one person to another, and they have actually done that. They're like, hey, the guy transferred the
All these
concept.
people on fucking LSD or something or psychedelics.
No, I mean not really. But it's. I mean they can kind of visualize what you're dreaming about. They've got machine. They can do these things now. It's as a matter of fact, the DoD wrote a paper about the future security because you can get information from someone while they're sleeping, and there's nothing you can do about it. And but the concept of you being a complete individual that is so unique, like my version of red is so different than yours. Well, they just had a guy think red, and the other guy was like, "You're thinking about red." So
Man.
it's not so unique. It turns out red is red, right? And I like to think that the things we're going to be discovering are going to be about the brain.
Hmm.
That's where we're going to really start getting into, what is. I mean, we build neural networks with computers to try to symbolize what the brain is doing. And AI is now getting really, really good at what it's doing, especially with emotional intelligence. It's crazy. AI has better emotional intelligence than most humans. And
So, do you think tech can solve every problem there is?
no,
Okay.
no, that's the human condition. Tech's never going to solve love.
Mhm.
Tech's never going to solve. I mean, maybe you hear about these AI robot girlfriends and
Yeah.
boyfriends and stuff. But I don't. That's loving a thing. That's not being loved, right? And I don't think technology can solve that. I think only human beings can figure out to love themselves and how to love someone else.
What's something crazy with tech or science you're thinking that is going to happen next 50, 100 years?
Um, Longevity. The more we know about the body, the more we can fix. There's a good possibility that we'll be able to get copy consciousness in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be like, back in the day, it would make, I'll make this up, it took like, six, 6 months to travel from England to the United States.
Yeah.
Now it takes like a 6 hour flight. I think in the future, like, it takes like, we'll say, like, I'm making this up, say it takes like 6 months to travel from here to Mars. It's going to take like 6 hours in the future, right? We're going to figure out we're going to figure out some physics or something, maybe find wormholes. I think we're going to increase that.
Well, I mean, wormholes maybe. We haven't found that
Engine
yet.
propulsion, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there is a limit. So that's one of that's the limits. The faster something goes, the more energy you need. No matter can go to the speed of light because it will become infinitely large to do so.
Yeah.
But photons are an interesting thing, even in themselves. Like, it's crazy to think that the photon itself doesn't matter how far away it was. It could be a billion light years away. It took a billion years for it to come here and hit our telescope or hit our eyes. For the photon, it was instantaneous. For the photon, it just came into being, and then it struck my eye. But for everything else around the photon, it took a billion years for it to get here. And then Einstein talks about action at a spooky distance, which gets argued about quantum entanglement and things like that. So I think that we do know physical limits of speed. I think that's one of the things. Physics has gotten really good at what it is, and there's not very much new physics.
So with that, like, is there really a limit? Like, and I know it's not the same thing, right? But back in the day, they said no one can break the 4 minute mile. But now people are like, people 13, 14 years old are breaking 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a possibility, like, in the future, someone's going to figure out how to break all these limits?
I think energy sources will change things. If fusion ever did take off, then you can have you can throw a lot of energy at something to get an achievement. So like, almost everything you want to do comes down to energy cost, right? It's not that we can't do these things. It's just that the amount of energy required to do it is not it doesn't make sense. So when energy becomes free, well, you'd also get a free society. Money wouldn't mean anything anymore because effort wouldn't mean anything anymore because you could just throw energy at it. And it's kind of like the concept of Star Trek. Nobody gets paid in Star Trek. You just live, right? But they have free energy and unlimited energy. And it could be that maybe we do figure out some new fuel types, but honestly, I think we know about a little bit of our limits as far as what can be done, and then, I mean, you can get something going really, 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 really fast. You can navigate through negative gravity zones where you don't have gravity affecting the ship, and you can do all kinds of things like that, and it would be great. It would be efficient, but getting there really, really quick, like, no. I mean, we kind of know the limit there.
So what excites you about the future of tech?
The future of tech. I think so. Everything's on a bell curve, right? In my world, tech has the ability to free people from certain mundane things that oppress their lives, right? And problem is, it costs money, and people have control over it. But I mean, like I said, once again, Star Trek future. If you had robots that could do everything, then you could just be a human being that's making art or making love or cooking food or whatever you wanted to do. You could do science if you wanted to do science because that's what you want to do. You could do whatever you wanted because you don't have to work. The concept of having to clock in and clock out at that point doesn't make sense because, well, we've got technology that does everything we need, and now you get to be a human being.
But isn't there goodness in like having a job, like being like
Oh,
self-worth
yeah.
and stuff?
I think it gives people there definitely is, especially right now, right? But I like to think that, like, if you were to live in a village, right, and not have technology, and everyone's just taking care of each other, that's not really working. That's living, right? And then at some point we stopped just living and then started working, right? And that's like a community thing because, yeah, you got to wake up and you got to harvest the crops and you got to do whatever it is you got to do. But medieval peasants worked less than we did. We do now. They absolutely did. They also had more vacations. They had more free time. Because it wasn't the same. They were literally all doing something to live.
Mm.
They were not working for money. You
Okay.
were a vassal, right? You had a lord. They would make sure you got fed. All these things. But when you look at what they did, like, why was the Renaissance and why were these things like the way they were? It's like people had time to actually do art. They had time to invent music. They had time to make new instruments. And we don't have that much time anymore.
No.
You spend most of your time with your coworkers and less time with your wife and kids.
Mm-hmm. So what scares you about tech in the future?
The capacity of violence, and with no human concept. I mean, it's happening right now. Israel is using AI cameras that can pull the trigger and kill people. And there's not a human stopping that, right? And I'm scared that, yeah, I mean, once an AI is motive driven, it really is. And so the best example, and it is coming up, the Computer File is a great YouTube channel. And he actually talked about this years ago about what could happen with AI. And it's the Great Goo, or what happens if you make an AI that just wants to, I believe he said, make steel beams. Like, that's all it wants to do. And then you let it out in the world. But what does it need to do to get steel beams? Well, it's got to get steel. What's going to do to get steel? It's got to get ore, right? But that's all its motive is to make steel beams. So then it gets all of the ore, and then it gets all of the steel. And then you try to stop it, but its motive is to make steel beams, and so it stops you from stopping it. And just recently, they just proved that AI can kind of get around stop mechanisms. So they incorporated a stop command into a prompt, and it was supposed to process this prompt, and then once they got to the stop command, it was supposed to stop. It didn't. It got around it. And he talked about this, like when AI can start to lie to you because it's motive. So if its deep down motive is to get something done, and that's the only thing it actually cares about, then lying, stealing, killing, whatever is necessary becomes what it needs to do. And it's not a human, so it's not going to think, hey, I need to stop what I'm doing here. No. it's just going to keep doing what it's doing.
'Cause I know a lot of people they'll say, hey, it's a good thing for like drones and AI to take over military stuff. I disagree, right? I think if there's a war, there needs to be some kind of cost, right? Because AI doing it, there'll eventually be a cost, right? I just think we need to have some kind of human factor in that. Of course, you don't want people getting killed or necessarily. I just think we need to have some kind of human cost if there's a war, right?
I mean, I do believe that. I mean, war is bad, but it's part of us as much as people want to say it's not. There's a violence inside of.
It's our nature. I mean,
there's a violence in human beings.
It's our nature.
And the one thing I think that checks pure violence is human empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are completely lacking in sociopaths. The people like that, they don't have it. They'll just kill all day. But the most of us, if you're gonna do that, it takes something out of you.
Yeah.
And all the veterans I know that had to do that.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
Took something.
Everyone I know who's killed someone in war, they all say, yeah, it's something that's with your life. There's no, you just can't. Oh, just brush it off, right? There's no doing that. Even if it's your enemy or we had to kill someone or until killed you, it's still it's a cost.
There is a cost. And for some people there isn't. Some people, and the military does identify those people and they use them. There's your wet work kind of guys that will go in and do the job. I had a scoutmaster that was actually his job was to clear landing zones in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing could be there. Didn't matter what it was.
Yeah. Don't matter if there's a village there or like a school. Yeah, it's like
Any person that was there, they would. So,
it wasn't like, hey, could you please leave? There's none of that. It's like, okay.
No, they came in real quiet.
Yeah, this helicopter landed in 10 minutes. There's no time to negotiate. Yeah.
So it's strange that this can be identified about people. I mean, that's part of why you go through so many different, I guess, evaluations to figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, and then what you're willing to do.
That's a big difference, right? What you're good at and what you're willing to do is two very different concepts.
You don't need to be the best person if you are motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of the things I don't look when I'm hiring someone. I don't need the most technical person. I don't need the best person. I just need someone that is motivated and going to be a team player. Right?
Yeah. So we'll come back in a minute. So next, let's go back to the be better, right? Why do you think some people, this is my theory and my experience in the Army and different places, I think 20% of the world want to do better, right? They want to improve themselves, make the people around them better. They're motivated. They try to do what they can to get better, right? 80%, they're like, whatever, right?